Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to the Survivor Palisades Episode 4 Aftershow. My name is Emmett, the creator, producer, host, and editor of Survivor Palisades, and I am joined with our usual crew of awesome podcasters. First of all, we have Baylor. Baylor, do you think you could beat this entire podcast in a plank challenge? How did you think of this week's episode? What did you think of this week's episode? Awesome. All right, next we have Bella. Bella, how are you doing? And would you eat an inchworm to survive on Survivor Palisades? All right, moving on. We have Hunter. Hunter, how are you? Awesome. We're going to keep these segments going. Would you consider yourself a downward dog yoga master like Anna? All right, well, let's jump right into this episode. A crazy one. We see all nine players combine and become a merged tribe. I sort of teased it last episode, but it is a very, very intense episode strategically. I think all parties are really looking out for their own interests, and you see every single person sort of try to find the duality of where that can line up with other people, which I find really interesting. We have a brutal challenge that is one of my favorite challenges ever on Survivor Palisades, and a really fun episode. But we start with a wholesome Yara tribe segment, and I think it's really the first time we see them let their guards down together. They know they're going to the merge. They know they don't have to vote someone out, and so they just sort of are playing with this inchworm and hanging out. They talk about voting out Dylan or Vanessa, whoever survives. What did you guys think of that segment? We'll start with you, Baylor. What did you think, Bella?
I think that Stratton terrorizing the interim received some karma later by getting voted out. I think that's why it happened.
This is true.
Maybe foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing.
That could have been it.
Let's talk about Yara for a little bit, especially with how chill the vibes were at the beginning, and then juxtaposing going to Sally, where Dylan is calling people little effers and they're fighting. Did we think that Yara was going to break up? Did we think that Sele was going to be the one at the beginning of this episode to survive holistically? What did you guys think?
No, that's what surprised me is like Yara had everything going for it, and Sele had almost nothing. Like the entire tribe dynamic on Sele is like just broken. Like I don't even think Ella Rose and like Abigail are like good. So like it's just a shattered tribe. But that's the best thing about this episode is somehow they still managed to take someone from Yara out. It's amazing. Had almost nothing. Like
Yeah, the vibes at Yara seemed so like unified, and especially because they were all going in thinking they were going to do Vanessa or Dylan going into the merge, and the fact that everyone on Cele already had voted for Dylan, I was like, oh, this might be the easiest vote in the history of ever. But obviously not. They couldn't hold on to those vibes.
yeah, and I think Sally did it, which we'll talk about more, but I think they did a great job of not only identifying like the benefit of keeping Dylan, but also mobilizing to make sure that happened. I was very impressed. Very impressed by them.
Yeah, let's keep talking about Sally. Let's go to that segment. A really funny segment, but an interesting segment. We get a lot of perspective from everyone there. We start with Dylan. He's like those little effers, as I said, and they sort of are like bash it and like like a little shy about the move that they made. And then we see Dylan talking about wanting to switch up his segment. So his plan is to align with the other side. We see a little cute little flashback to him and Sean. And then we see him talk to Anna. On top of that, we see Abigail sort of realize that her position is not good in this moment with losing Vanessa because Ella Rose knows more people on the other tribe. She thinks Dylan is going to flip, and she doesn't feel she has those relationships. And then, as I said, we see Anna and Dylan sort of
like pump fake each other with alliances. It's a really funny conversation. We're like, yeah, I'd work with you. Yeah, I wouldn't work with you, but that was a good move. Well played. Talk me through just all of the Sele dynamics there, Baylor.
Yeah, I think it's just like they honestly, I'm just gonna go one by one. I think Abigail is definitely she's smart for understanding that, and I think she honestly was able to overcome it this episode, obviously. Um, and I also think, yeah, Anna and Dylan's conversation, that was just the funniest thing ever. I do wish that they would align. Like, I wish they could kind of see that, like, where they are. And it's like, even though they just voted each other against, or Anna just voted him out, like, it'd be smart for them to align as in this moment. So, honestly, that could probably still happen. I could see that happening in the future.
Yeah, I appreciate how aware everyone was, like, of the situation. Like, they weren't, like, thinking things that weren't, like, they were pretty much said exactly what their positions were. Um, yeah, Dylan, he was really wanting to go and work with the Yard tribe. And it was just funny because, like, no one really went to work with him, but that's where he was already thinking ahead. Like, I don't necessarily need to work with the people I'm with now, but he ended up having to. And then Ella Rose, thinking, same thing, she's going to work with the Yard tribe. And then just the dynamic also, Anna and Dylan, that was like my favorite part of the episode, them bickering about going back and forth of like, could they trust each other? Could they not? And I think like those conversations for them, I just loved it so much because in the end, they all did stick together and vote out a Yar player. So I loved it. I loved that segment.
Yeah, I really liked Anna and Dylan, where they were both like, well, I actually really want to work with the other person, but like she doesn't trust me because she knows I can't trust her. And so yeah, they were like trying to feel each other out. And it did end up working. I didn't think they were gonna work it out, but I'm glad that they did.
Yeah, let's keep going through this episode. So we get to the beastly challenge, I will say, of that challenge. Oh my god, so much fun to film. Ella Rose and Stratton are the tribe captains here. They have to sit out of this challenge. I can talk to you guys through, actually, for a production reason. I'll just explain it. So we, at all costs, try to be as scrappy as possible and save as much money. We've had those square bricks in season 3 that we use for the plank challenge, and we only have 7 of them. We lost 2 of them. And so I was like, oh, like I don't know where to find these exact bricks, and you either have to buy 9 new ones, or because you can't. They have to be the same and fair for everyone. Last season we only had 8. We lost 1, and Tanaya got sabotaged in the smaller one. So I was like, what? I need to do a twist here. So we thought of that twist. And I don't think it would have really ended up mattering anyways, because no one was beating Abigail in that challenge. Let's be real. But what did you think about their choices to volunteer as tribe leader? Do you think that was sort of evident of how they both been playing this season? And then talk about their conversations too before we jump into the challenge. Go ahead, Baylor.
Yeah, so I honestly, I wasn't expecting Ella Rose to like jump out and say that she was the leader. I kind of was more expecting like, I don't know, someone like Dylan, honestly, even though he just got voted out. I just feel like that would be something he would do. But Stratton, I could definitely see him going and taking the leader role. I will say that was very smart of them to talk during the competition because there's almost no time to just have a one-on-one in this environment. So I do think that did show like Ella Rose's like ability.
When they both volunteered to be captain, I was like, okay, this is feeling familiar, very much like David versus Goliath. And it was definitely a good opportunity for them to catch back up on what was going on with
relationship, which I didn't think Stratton really needed. So I feel like that probably played an impact in people wanting to get him out later in the episode. I think for Ella Rose, it was mostly fine though.
Let's just jump into Stratton and Ella Rose's relationship right here. It was ebbing and flowing the entire episode. We see at the beginning of the merge, Ella Rose talking about wanting to stray from her Sele tribe, go with Stratton, and then we see sort of a heel turn here. Let's just talk about this in general. Was this the right move for Ella Rose? What do we think about her doing this? Did this benefit her more than others? How did she go about it? Was it the right way to go about it? What do you guys think?
I thought this was honestly this right here was the most interesting part of the episode. I definitely did not expect Ella Rose to even consider flipping with Stratton. I was honestly kind of excited to see them together again, but I'm also not mad that she flipped on him. Do I think it was a good move for her? Honestly, 9 times out of 10, I would have said no. But honestly, at this point in time, I honestly think it was a pretty decent move for her. I think her and Stratton would have been seen as a pretty big target with them having a relationship together. So I do think kind of taking him out early is able for Ella Rose to kind of make herself a more independent player and less of a threat.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna definitely stay longer than just the merge episode as a duo, but I was kind of wary on her voting out Stratton. I was surprised, she did think of that like without someone approaching her, because I really do think he would have voted with her the majority of the season, like as far as they could have gone together. I think he would have gone with her. But the threat would have been so high, like the two of them, like we just saw this last season. Like I think people would have thought that coming from a mile away. And she can do really now. She has a lot of options. I think there are other people who are gonna want to work with her. And I feel like just as like a viewer standpoint, this like shakes things up way more. Is gonna be like the rest of the season is gonna be so much more interesting now that Stratton is gone opposed to someone like Dylan.
I definitely don't think it was like ideal for Ella Rose for Stratton to go here. But I think once the momentum was there, like her like continuing to be a part of the move was definitely the right play. Like pushing back and sticking out for him, sticking her neck out for him would not have been smart. But I think that he would have been a valuable number and also probably a good shield for her. But I agree that now that he's gone, her threat level is probably going to come down quite a bit. So I think that she's in a decent spot for now.
Yeah,
I will also say,
go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're so good.
I think it also kind of like shows everyone else that she's willing to work with other people that she might not have worked with before. I think that's just kind of like a conscious thing that happens as well.
This is a small detail, but we see twice in the episode, consciously or not, Anna sort of throw Ella Rose under the bus twice. First, when Dylan asks who made that move, she said Ella Rose and Vanessa made that move. And then later, she talks to Abigail. She's like, Ella Rose was trying to play both sides. What do you guys think of this sort of fracture in Cele? I mean, you think of two people who would be fractured. These would probably be the least two that you would expect in terms of dynamics, I would say, because Ella Rose threw out Abigail's name and voted Dylan, but never had anything negative to say about Anna. Anna didn't vote for Ella Rose. Anna voted for Dylan. What do you guys think about this?
I think honestly, it does just kind of show like the dynamic of Cele and how they really just don't really trust each other. Like, there's not a lot of trust there. I mean, you have to remember back at episode 1, just like I think that episode 1 kind of shattered trust for the rest of Cele's life. Like so I definitely do think that's kind of the reason why. Do I think that's going to bite Cele members in the butt? Yes, I do think in the next couple episodes there will be some sort of thing to happen where they might target each other.
I found it interesting that she was like throwing her name out there, because even just a few episodes ago, I thought they could be Ella Rose and Abigail. They could have been like kind of a unsuspecting duo that could have went forward, because they are very similar in like personality wise. At least that's what it looks like. So I was kind of surprised that they're not connecting more than they are right now.
I agree, and it's like interesting because they kind of realize that it's best to stick together for now, but they like do have that underlying distrust, and so I think going forward things are going to be a lot more jumbled between the two tribes. So I'll be intrigued to see kind of who breaks now.
Yeah, let's talk about that challenge. I mean, so much fun. We see Abigail end up winning. I really love this challenge so much, from Anna saying downward dog to Sean like literally shaking and almost falling and knocking someone over. That challenge to film was so fun because it's very easy. It's just the people are there and all the cameras are just there. There's no movement, so it's very simple to film. And there were like the entire production team had just gotten there together because half of them were at the other tribe. So everyone was there watching. It was like 45 people watching Abigail do that plank, and everyone was just like cheering so loud when she won. I don't even think you can tell in the episode. I tried to like take down some of the noise, but a really fun challenge to be a part of. Any thoughts on the challenge just really quickly before we keep going?
Oh, I thought it was so entertaining. I honestly thought Abigail would win. I think was Abigail's challenge to win. Like, she's a gymnast, like that's what she does. So I definitely do think this was hers to win. Do I think she needed it? Honestly, not. But I do think it shows that she's her competition ability.
Yeah, I love the challenge. I was thinking how I would do. Like they were holding. How long were they holding the challenge that plane? Because like
Yeah.
honestly, after a minute, I would have been gone. Especially like when you're moving hands and legs and all that stuff.
All of them made it to 2.5 minutes, which is insane. I
Yeah.
think some of them practiced, honestly. I'm pretty sure some of them practiced because they like I remember Sarah telling me once she was like practicing her physical strength going into the season. Like doing a plank for 2.5 minutes is like not easy. Like that's hard.
Mm-mm.
Abigail lasted over 5 minutes, which is the record. And at the end it was
Wow.
one hand and one leg, which is like crazy. So yeah, they're Abigail, Dylan, Sean. I mean, they're just all so strong, and Abigail is just like an absolute beast, as you saw.
Yeah, I knew going in Abigail was going to win it. Since she's a gymnast, I was like, she's got this in the bag. Like, I never doubted. I'm curious, what would have happened if Sean would have like fallen and knocked her over?
Ah, that's a good question.
I was so like I was like, oh my god, like he's gonna fall and he's gonna fall into her, and I was like, I don't know, what would you done? Like, what would have happened?
I think we would have reset the challenge with we would have given them like 30-second break and reset it with only Abigail and Dylan and just kept going. Yeah, maybe let them switch arms.
That's fair. Yeah.
But that's an interesting thought because I remember Chloe
I kind of
that
wanted to
day.
see them like domino.
That would have been so funny. Chloe was screaming when Sean was like, "Don't fall on her! Like make sure you fall forward." Because there was a point he was sandwiched when Chase was still up. It was like, oh god. But yeah, all right, let's keep going. So we see right when the challenge ends, we get a confessional of Sean being, "Thank God Dylan didn't win." You hear Ella Rose and Stratton talking about it. What if Dylan wins when the challenge is going on? Were you guys surprised Dylan was such a target so quickly? I mean, literally like 2 minutes in, it's just everyone is just saying his name. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Was this the right move, even at the beginning, for everyone, even the people in the majority? Should they have gone for Dylan? What did you think, Baylor?
Yeah, I honestly was surprised by how like everyone was just steadfast on Dylan. I was very upset. Like I was thinking, the editing had me thinking, like, is this just really what's gonna happen? Like because that that could be something that happened. Like everyone just rallies against Dylan. They all had reason to. Like it was It was in Yara's good. Like Yara should have done that. It's the best move for Yara to take out the biggest physical threat on the other tribe, and like Pagong the other tribe. But yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, as much as I didn't want Dylan to go, I was like, this kind of makes sense. Like, Sele all just ganged up on him. Yara already was talking about winning him. Like, it makes sense for him to go, but there was like, I had to check the times. Like, please tell me this episode isn't almost over. And there were still like 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, something's gonna happen. Like, please, something happen so that this doesn't just happen. The first merge is that easy. Like, I wanted things to be shaken up a little bit.
I was very surprised that Stratton immediately was down for going for Dylan. Like, I think that if Stratton had stayed, I think the best chance he would have had for success long term would be having other like giant threats around him, because we saw how quickly like people's eyes turned towards Stratton. And so I think that Stratton should have probably put in some more effort into trying to like work with Dylan and get him out. But I mean, ultimately it didn't matter because Stratton got taken out anyways.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. I think Sean specifically is very interesting in how he played this episode, but just Sean and Stratton in general. I talked with Stratton on my X interview. I asked him, "Do you think there was any benefit to working with Dylan?" And he was like, "I'm not sure. Maybe could have been useful." But from my perspective, from the editing room and what I saw that day, I think that really would have, I don't know, enhanced his game to be able to surround himself with bigger players. As much as it was nice that he had this, Yara alliance. I think recognizing that a lot of them were really strong players with like connections and possibility to make alliance with the other people, it would have been beneficial for him. And I would even say Sean maybe to do that. We see Sean talk about his sort of shield strategy the first episode. That's why he wants to go for Catalina. Do you guys think that Sean should have tried to save Dylan? Sean obviously is in a little bit of a different position than Stratton. He's a little more under the radar. He has a few more, like social connections. But what do we think about Sean this episode? His position does change quite a bit from being very much on the top to being left out of a vote.
No, yeah, I was a little disappointed in Sean because him like being the only other person other than Stratton to vote out Dylan, I was like, you really couldn't read the room on what other people were doing. I don't know, it just kind of showed, especially like I need to put my foot in my mouth from last week's episode. I was like, Sean and Abigail, they're gonna team up, they're gonna be. Abigail did not tell him anything, so just totally take that back. Nothing. Feel bad for saying that, but like no, like I honestly I'm a little scared for Sean. He's like number two. I was very confident about him, but after this episode, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, like I was very confused. I thought he was gonna be let in on the vote. Like I don't know if that was intentional or he just didn't like he wasn't sure which way it was gonna go all the way. It was still like up in the air until the voting did happen. But I was confused and like why did he vote like against everybody else? And then also just on the next time on Survivor, I remember they're saying something about a girls' alliance. I'm like, so maybe keeping Strine could have benefited him to keep the gender alliances more equal. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that going after Dylan wasn't like the worst move for Sean because he already kind of had his shield in Stratton, and so I think like having too many big threats in front of him creates a difficult end game for him. But like, yeah, the big thing was him getting left out of the vote. Like he just did not have the social capital to be brought into that, which I think is very telling for his position moving forward.
Yeah, let's keep it going because I know we do have to end this around 1:45. Let's talk about Chloe. She seems to be the one to break through to Sele. We see her in a segment with both Anna and Abigail getting those connections that they want to work with her. What do we think about Chloe's position? Was this a good move for her? How did she play the merge? Did she play it well? What are our thoughts?
Well, we played the merge perfectly, like as expected. Chloe is just I love Chloe. Like she's doing the best. She has an idol. She's probably not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm so proud of Chloe. Like I wanted this to happen for her. And I think it does show how good of a player she is. The fact that she's one of the only people that like said, "Hey, even though I'm targeting these people, I think it's still worth it to have a good connection with them just in case something happens." I think it shows how good she is.
Jury management.
Yeah.
I also really liked when they were talking. She was like, "Oh, they were asking, do you think anyone on your tribe found the idol?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't think so. I don't think anyone found it." Like, I would have started smiling, laughing, something, but she was just so nonchalant about it. Like, I don't know how she does that.
Chloe like is playing very well, building all these relationships with almost everyone. I don't think she's a target for anyone. My only hesitation is that this is the second time this season where it feels like she's been brought in to the vote like last. Like it happened with Catalina, and then it happened here too, where there was like big group, and she was like kind of surprised that it had changed. Which is really interesting to me because like we've been shown that she has all these different relationships, but then it also seems like she's kind of the last person to be pulled in. And so that's the only thing that makes me a little worried for her. But I think ultimately, like, she is in a great spot. She has these relationships with Yara and Sele, and her secret idol. So I think that she's golden for a while.
Yeah. All right, let's keep it moving. So we see Dylan trying to get out of his target. He talks to Abigail and Sean. Another really awkward conversation. And then we see Abigail go to Stratton and Sean actually right off the bat and try to talk to them and be like, "Oh, well, like Dylan, I don't know. I think this. He doesn't really have anyone." Stratton is super aggressive in this conversation, and so Abigail sort of pivots. Let's just talk about Abigail for a second. This is obviously quite an episode for Abigail after winning immunity and then sort of being the first one to try to pivot the vote. Let's just talk about her position and what we think of her in this vote. My favorite moment from this entire episode probably is when Abigail is doing her confessional. Sometimes while the game is going on, you already know what I'm going to say. Sometimes when the game is going on, the cameraman will be like, the cameraman will be like, "What just happened?" And so you see how close everyone is at that time. She's just filming. She's like, he's right behind her. I think it's so funny. But let's just talk about Abigail Baylor.
Oh, Abigail right next to Chloe. Like she played so good this episode. I'm so happy. I'm mad that I don't have Abigail because she is like honestly the number one or two to win. Like she played this episode the best. Like, do I think she's player of the week? Probably. There's other people that could be, but like she played this episode perfectly. Like she was able to understand the dynamics and what Dylan meant for her in the future. So I think she definitely this episode showed how good she is as well.
She did amazing. I was like so impressed with how she was able to like kind of get the ball rolling on shifting the vote towards her, and especially because everyone was like seemed so dead set on Dylan. So I was really happy with how she was able to change that so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Like she killed it. She knew that keeping Dylan was going to be a lot better for her game than keeping Stratton, and so she was able to get like the biggest target from the other side out while keeping an ally and a shield for her in. I think she's positioned very well. Her and Anna are still very like incredibly close, and so I like she is killing it right now. I'm very impressed by her.
Yeah, we see Anna and Abigail be really an important duo in this episode. They're the one that have that conversation to switch it. Let's talk about some other new duos that are forming. We talked a little bit about, or alliances. We talked a little bit about Chloe, Anna, and Abigail talking, but we see the formation of Ella Rose and Sarah this episode. We see Sarah's reasoning for wanting to get out Stratton is that if Stratton's not there, I can make that spot and take that alliance and that duo. Let's talk about Sarah for a second. She has been a tiny bit quieter in the beginning of the season, sort of laying back a little bit compared to people running the tribe like Sean. Let's just talk about this vote and the duo of Ella Rose and Sarah.
No, yeah, this is what I'm talking about where like everyone has a thing in the episode that they could be the best player of the week. Like, because the read that Sarah, I was watching this and I was like, that is a crazy read that Sarah had. Like, to take out one of her best allies to just kind of have better positioning with the other team. Like, that was really good for Sarah. Like, I was very impressed. I also really like that Sarah and Ella Rose are combining again because they were low key kind of like, they kind of did not they weren't friends. They did not work together in their last season. So I'm very happy that they're working together now.
Yeah, Sarah, I feel like she's been kind of quieter this season overall, but I feel like she's really like just laying the groundwork for what the rest of the season's gonna be, like making the connections. Her and Ella Rose, I'm happy for her and them to be working together, especially since Vanessa just went last week. Taking out Stratton, I think that was a really good idea because if he was there, I don't think they would be as close. They wouldn't be able to form as tight an alliance as they're going to be able to now that he's gone.
It was like fan fiction, like Sarah and Ella Rose coming together to take out Stratton, who they lost to last season. Like I couldn't have written it better myself. And so I was very, very excited to see that happening. And I do think it was an excellent read from Sarah. Like Ella Rose is gonna like need someone else to come to, and that familiarity they have, I think, will definitely draw Ella Rose closer to her. And so Sarah's doing what she does best, like planting those seeds and building those relationships. I just think I hope she realizes that she's gonna have to like make a move at some point to kind of which she wasn't able to do last season.
Yeah, so we see Sarah say in her interview her big two right now are Chase and Ella Rose. So she's not including Chloe now as one of her two closest allies. So that's
Yeah,
what
that was shocking.
I, I think it just shows Chase's amazing social and strategic. He's still always going to be there.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I think I missed that during the episode. Like, I picked up on that she didn't include her in who she was considering an ally. That's interesting.
I was having flashbacks when things were in front of the pool, like strategizing. Like for some reason, that's always where they were in my mind from Day First Goliath. I remember them being in front of the pool all the time.
Yeah.
They're just like telling everyone what to do.
Yeah.
So like falling back into old habits, it was really fun to see. But I was shocked about Sarah and Chloe. Like, Chloe didn't even really bring up Sarah that much either. And so it feels like both of them kind of like went back to the people that they knew from their previous seasons rather than sticking together. But I definitely think that relationship still exists. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to do something with it in the next few episodes.
Yeah, super interesting. It seems like they sort of pivoted to find different parts of Sally to work with that have the same end goal there. So let's talk about what I'm hearing in the comments as like the big three, or sorry, the middle three. People are saying the middle three. They're saying Chloe, they're saying Sarah, they're saying Chase. Um, who does this benefit? This move? Who does it not benefit? Who does it benefit the most? From Chase's perspective, from Chloe's perspective, and from Sarah's perspective, what do you guys like sort of get a read on from here? And also, who do you think is going to be put in the best position to make moves later on?
Honestly, that's a hard question. I definitely think this is a good move for Sarah. Like, this is an absolutely like amazing move for Sarah. I think honestly, this works out best for Sarah because obviously, kind of already talked about it. She has Ella Rose now. For Ella Rose, I definitely think it was a good move. I think we already talked about that too. Like, she doesn't have Stratton with her, and she's kind of able to make herself a more independent player and less of a threat. Um, yeah, those two it worked out pretty well with. And then who was the other one? Chase. With Chase, yeah, it wasn't a great move for Chase. You know, Stratton and him were kind of buddies, and so I think it definitely does show that he's able to kind of go with the flow with like this new group that he has. And so I definitely do think it's going to make him go far. But overall, like Stratton was kind of rooting for him as well, so it's not the best for Chase.
You're gonna have to remind me who the three were again.
Chloe, Sarah, and Chase, the three people on Yara who flipped on Yara.
Oh, okay. Um, yeah, I think it pretty much benefits everyone except Chase. For Sarah, obviously, you said that she's gonna get closer with Ellie Rose, and Chloe, let's see her forming the alliances with Abigail and Anna is gonna work well for her. And I don't think Dren would have provided the loyalty that they would with her. I can see them working as a trio now. And then for Chase, I mean, I don't know. It could benefit him. I don't see it being a huge benefit now, but especially like if there being so many more girls and guys. But since it benefits Sarah and they're supposed to be, good allies, it could help. It could help him. So I don't know, honestly. That's a good question.
Um, I'm not really sure, but I definitely think that this was best for Aaron and Abigail. The people who came out like in the best position from this move. But of the three Yara that flipped, is definitely Sarah that it was most beneficial for because we already talked about how like pull Rose closer, but I think it's going to accomplish the same thing with Chase as well. Like Chase now will have like the two other boys to lean on, and so I think he's going to be fully in with Sarah like 100%. And so I think Sarah was able to like pull both the other David versus Goliath players like towards her and away from Stratton. So I think it was definitely bad for her and then bad for Chase. And for Chloe, like I think she'll be in a fine spot. I think it was like neutral for her. I think Stratton wouldn't have been awful.
Totally. How does this benefit Dylan compared to other people?
I think this is like the best. It's good for Dylan. I don't think honestly, anyone else but Dylan would have been good for him. Like he's in one of those spots where like if it's anyone but me, it's good. You know what I
Are we seeing any longevity for his game, or what are we seeing with that?
I think it's definitely going to be a very, very hard run for Dylan, especially because, like we saw in the next time on Survivor, the Girls Alliance that will potentially be formed. I definitely, what I do see happening is Chase is going to be, there's going to be a Girls Alliance that's going to take the majority, and then they're going to pick off like Sean and Dylan, and then Chase is going to be able to kind of intermingle with the girls. That's what I think, honestly, what I see happening.
Dylan, I don't see him lasting much longer, honestly, just because we're at a point where we're already merged. Everyone's kind of solidifying their duos or trios, whatever it is. But he doesn't necessarily have anyone who he knows he can rely on right now. Hopefully, what people are saying, he's going to be able to win challenges or something, because if not, I don't see him lasting very much longer.
Yeah, he has a massive target on his back. I don't think he's like immediately dead in the water. I think that things are going to be picking up enough that he might be able to find some cracks to play into, especially like hoping he wins immunity so that he can guarantee safety. Um, but I think that he is not going to last very much longer, even if he's able to just grab by for a few more rounds. Like he has some long term trouble and prospects. People are not going to stop looking at him.
Totally. All right, well, let's sort of just wrap up the end of this episode and just sort of talk about one more time sort of the Sarah and Chase and Chloe effect of how they were communicated the vote. So Sarah is the one who is in that conversation with all the blue players and in there first. Um, do you think Sarah is going to be able to be in a power position when we're moving forward? We see in the preview we have 5 girls. Are we expecting the girls to stick together next vote? Is it going to be red versus blue? Is it going to be some other combination of David versus Goliath versus past relationships? I mean, there's so much fluidity and complicated relationships here. Every single person, I feel like you really understand their sort of like triangle of people, but there are a lot of triangles on the board. So what are we thinking is going to happen moving forward? I'll start with you, Baylor.
I honestly think the tribe lines are kind of dissolved now, especially since they've kind of Yara's kind of flipped on each other. I definitely do see that kind of disintegrating, especially because Sean is like, we forget Sean is like kind of got blindsided by his own tribe. So I definitely do think there's going to be some sort of clash there. Um, and relative to David versus Goliath, who's left? It's Ella Rose, Sarah, and Chase, right? That's it. I do see them definitely working together. Those three might be a power trio. Potential final three, honestly. It'd be like crazy. That's like the same thing for his last just chase swap strategy out. Um, I and then what was the other one?
Gender, I think, right? Was that the last?
Sure, yeah, yeah. I honestly think I hope if Sarah is able to run an all girls alliance, that will be like the best ever. I would love to watch that. Like that's amazing.
I feel like right now, I don't know, there's so many like um alliances still, but I just see a girls alliance happening just to guarantee them, safety for the next couple of votes. But at the same time, the distrust between Ella Rose and Abigail, I could see that being an issue. If there isn't a girls alliance, I would say that's why there isn't one. And then the trio from David versus Goliath, uh, yeah, I think I think they'll stick together even if there was a girls alliance. I think they'll go ahead and pull Chase in. But I could see them running things. Like if they can run things, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think I think there's a lot up in the air, but if I had to anticipate a line being drawn, I feel like we can kind of see the dangerous Goliath and then more like the old school players, and then also like Sean and Dylan kind of like on their own right now. Because you have Chase Eller with Sarah, and then you had Chloe with Anna and Abigail as well. And so I think we're kind of starting to see those like I guess old school, new school ones. Um, and so I'll be intrigued to kind of see if that comes into play. Like if people are like, oh, the three dangerous live players like are working together. But I'm not really sure. I think that strat going kind of releases a lot of people to play more freely. And so I'm very intrigued to kind of see what people do next. Because I think it is going to be another scramble.
All right, well, let's get into player of the week really quickly. Baylor, who is your player of the week?
I honestly like I said, I can make a point for anyone. The one other person I just want to mention real quick is Dylan's responses during the tribal council were so good. Like I was thinking about this while I was watching. Like they weren't like too much to the point where the other side was like thinking what was going to happen, but they were also like they were good enough to convince the people he had to still go with him. So honestly, with that, I just mentioned that I honestly think the player of the week is Abigail. I think being able to convince somehow find a way to convince 8 people, 7 people is not Sean, to flip after everyone being 100% on Dylan is so crazy. She also won individual immunity, so like I think this was Abigail's episode, honestly.
Yeah, I think the player of the week for all the reasons Taylor said it has to be Abigail because she got the ball rolling on the front end and she also won herself immunity. But I also really like how Sarah is set up right now. Like now that she wasn't directly responsible for, how the vote went necessarily, I think it does set her right very favorably.
I agree with all the people they mentioned, although I think I'm going to give player of the week to Anna. I think that she was just as responsible for making this move happen, and I think she benefits just as much as Abigail, but I think that she's going to be a smaller target. Like, I think people are going to view this as Abigail's move more so than Anna's, and between that and the immunity, the things that like made it kind of her dominating episode, I think are also going to make people start to look at her as a bigger threat. And I think Anna has a closer relationship with Chloe than what Abigail has with anyone else. And so I think that Anna like reaped all the benefits benefits and is not going to have as much backlash from the move. So she's my player of the week.
All right, let's quickly go through the remaining 8 All-Stars and talk about, are they in a safe, super safe position, a little bit in danger, or dead in the water? First up, we have Sean.
This is hard this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean Cudzel up first. Go for it, Baylor.
Sean is in trouble. Like he honestly, he might be dead in the water. Like I'm honestly really upset. He was in such a good spot, and if he just hurt his right now, he would have honestly been able to still be in an okay spot. So I definitely do think, especially with all girls lines that we see might be formed, he's definitely probably in big trouble.
I think he might be in the water because if Abigail didn't even tell him this move, I don't know what else. I don't know what he has going for him at this point. So yeah, I think he's in the water.
Yeah, he's in a bad spot. He's in trouble for sure. He plummeted down my rankings. I think he has potential to recover, but for right now, he's not in a good spot. He's in danger.
All right, next up, Sarah.
Season, honestly, she might be in the best spot. I don't know. She might be. She just has so much going. She has Chase. She has Ella Rose. She has Chloe. I'm pretty sure she's pretty good with Abigail and Anna. Like she has so many. She's good with Sean. Like I think Sean is honestly still will be fine with Sarah. Like she's in probably one of the best spots.
I think yeah, like you just said, I think she's doing good. Probably winning the best shot. But I do have to go, guys.
No
I'm so
worries.
sorry.
We're gonna. Is it cool if we finish this last segment without you?
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Awesome. Have a great time at work. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye, Bella. Amazing. All right, we'll keep rolling here. Go ahead and give me Sarah, Hunter.
Oh yeah. Just like they said, I think Sarah's fine. Like she's in a great spot. Um, I, I think that she like down the road is going to have to do something to increase her winning potential. But in terms of staying in the game, she's very safe for now.
All right, next up, Dylan.
Unfortunately, he's probably dead in the water. I
He's in trouble.
don't like saying that because I'm honestly rooting for Dylan at this point. But I just don't see. I think this episode was kind of like a special one where they were like, hey, let's actually just get out Stratton and let's get Dylan. They were all like most of them were saying like the big argument was like, let's take out Stratton and then we'll get Dylan. Like that's what everyone was saying. So I don't see him going far.
Yeah, he's definitely in trouble. Like I see a world where he slides by even without immunity, but it is very slim, so he's in a bad spot.
All right, next up we have Chloe.
Chloe is right next to Sarah in my ranking of how safe they are. Like, and honestly, she might be a little bit safer because she does have Abigail and Anna at a higher extent. I feel like than Sarah.
Yeah.
She's also good with Chloe. I mean, wait, no, we're talking about Chloe. She's good with like Emma Rose and the other people that Sarah with. So
Yeah, and with Will as well.
yeah.
So I think she's safe. Like no one's falling for her.
Yeah, only out on the game right now. All right, next up we have. Oh God, Wi-Fi back.
Keep going. Yeah,
Wi-Fi back.
yeah, you're back. I don't think that Elrose is in a bad spot, but I think that there are a lot of other players, mainly the other women in the game, who are in better positions than her. And so just kind of like my process of elimination, she's lower on my list. I think that at some point in the near future, people are going to want to kind of get her out, like as a big move. And so I'm worried for her. But I'm hoping that, Sarah's going to pull her in and keep her safe for a while.
All right, next up we have Chase.
Honestly, like I'm not even lying. Like, he's not in a horrible spot. Like he's not at the worst place. Like I was saying, like there's probably a lot of lines about me for it, but I see him being the last one to be taken out, and I honestly see him being able to kind of put himself in that alliance, and like the girls start targeting each other before they start targeting him, because he's Chase. Like you know.
Yeah, to me, Chase is in the exact same spot he's been in all season. But like, I love Chase. He's an icon. He's definitely going to go very far.
He's probably going to make the final three, but he's not going to win. So I think that's what I've said for every episode, and I stand by it.
All right, next.
Okay, Tara, I love Chase. Give us more Chase content.
More Chase content. Okay, coming your way. Next, we have Abigail.
Oh, I don't know. Like, yeah, 100%. I didn't really think about that. She is honestly, she did amazing this episode, but it does scare me. Like, she did make the big move. She did win individual meeting. We see, like, with Dylan, if you do something good or something impressive, you're the number one target. So I'm a little scared for Abigail now. Do I think it's gonna take her out next episode? No, but it does show. I think what she did this episode shows her threat level increase. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking about like when the what seems to be forming women's alliance starts to turn on each other. I think that next to Ella Rose, Abigail is the other person who is very likely to kind of be that name that people go for, because she is starting to like the other video point, like Dylan played the idol, like he did something big and flashy, and then he was immediately a target because of it. And so I think that same with Abigail getting out Stratton this week, like tall poppy syndrome. So I think, um, she's starting to rise in the rankings, and so people might want to drop her down.
All right, last up we have Anna.
Anna, honestly, like, yeah, she's not. I wasn't thinking about Anna, which is honestly probably what the people are not thinking about. Is that she's in a good spot. Like, she, as much as Anna's kind of crazy, but she's honestly in a very good spot. Like, she's, I don't think she's done much. Like, I don't think she contributed a lot to this episode. Like, as in, like, taking Dylan out. But I do think like she's not a big target, and I think she has done stuff in the past. Like, she's gonna be able to go far. I think that Anna is incredibly underrated in terms of her positioning. Like, even by herself, like, she had a scene. I remember who she was talking to, and maybe it was just like because it was a conversation with another player. But she was like, "Yeah, like my gameplay's been horrible." But I don't think that's the case. Like, she almost single-handedly saved herself on the first vote. She's been like the strong alliance in the swing position with her and Abigail. I think that she benefited just as much as Abigail did from taking out Stratton here. I don't think people are targeting her, and so I think that she's like in one of the best spots in the game. And she has a relationship with Chloe, and so I don't know. I wonder if the perception of her is not like a winning one right now. But like, I think that she's playing great. I think she has a lot of ability, and I think that she's in a good spot.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys all for joining us here today and watching this podcast. We will be back next week, I believe, the 23rd at 5 p.m. for our episode 5. And then the exit interview will come out 10 a.m. at Eastern the day after with the 5th player eliminated. And then we'll talk all things episode 5 next Saturday, the 25th of October at 1 p.m. Eastern. Thank you guys so much for joining us again. Another very interesting relationship driven episode next week. And yeah.